Don't rush. Okay, celebrating 16 years of marriage, and I think it looks good. Thank you, girl. Thank you. With my high school sweetheart, so we always love this, and so I'm thankful. I think we are looking forward to it. And my father and my mother-in-law, they are celebrating how many years? I stopped counting. There are too many. 44.
44. We
I want
actually
to be
got
like you when I grow up. Right?
we got married on the same day, so we have the same anniversary. Seems like a long time. Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, it's a long time. So true. Before we start, I just wanted to say that it's really fun to see different people doing things, and we're talking about transforming, healing, and equipping, and vision and stuff. And all that we're talking about, it's something that really takes everybody. It's not something that, like, changes don't happen because of one or two people. Like, it may start there. Like, in order to see if changes happen, ultimately you need everybody. And I'm so happy that even in worship and announcements and all these different things, that we can celebrate each other. Because it doesn't mean, like, celebrating somebody doesn't have to be because they look exactly like you or they do things exactly like you. But just because of what God's doing in them and what God has called them to do. And the diversity is so much fun. And I hope you guys appreciate it as much as I do, but it's really fun and it's only going to get better. So we want IOC to be a place where everybody can be themselves. I mean, we want to serve God. If I tell you guys the differences between us, they'd be too many to name. The only thing that we've had in common that I can say for sure, yeah, right? It's very apparent, isn't it? Ghostly white.
When you look the other way.
Yeah, we're close if you look at the other side, but even with all of that, the one thing we've had in common is God and our love for Him, and that's honestly what holds you together at the end of it all. And so we're celebrating 16 years, but it's just, I think, God in His humor sometimes, that He just loves diversity, and He loves it so much. And when God is the center and the focus of everything, then you can pretty much weather through anything. And
I think.
And we learn to relax and not try to change each other more and more. We try, right?
Well, you made me wear jeans, though.
Yeah, and he made me dress up. It's kind of funny. This wasn't planned, but I didn't really dress up before meeting him, and he never wore jeans before meeting me. So he took me on my shopping trip to buy a suit, like heel-type shoes.
Yeah.
That was uncomfortable, and I had to take him to get sneakers and jeans. And I had to take him to the tennis court, do sports, and try to rollerblade and bike and stuff. And
well,
I had a lot to learn,
and
a whole
I
lot.
tried.
You
You
tried.
made the best chapati.
Yeah, I learned how to make chapati. That was a good compromise there.
So good. Yeah. Amen. Well,
It's good.
what were you talking about? Well,
That's what we were talking about.
I'm trying to collect my thoughts because first of all, I want to say how thankful I am for every one of you this morning. And let me say, chuchi, chuchi, chuchi. Did you hear them? Did you hear that? Yeah, and we are going to open a few Hmong churches. We are going to open a few. So we are working behind the scenes. We potentially may end up opening 3 churches in the next 5 years. I'll tell you, among people that I know, Chuchi is the best in rightly dividing the word of truth. He is hands down. And I know a lot of young people. But I want to commend you, and I'm so proud of you working with ILM, being part of ILM. In fact, many Hmong people are going to some Hmong churches and telling the pastors, go to ILM, because you need to know how to define the word. You're good with prayer, but you don't know how to preach the word. you cannot rightly divide it. And so some of the best and brightest pastors we're going to raise for Hmong people are going to teach solid, just like Shushi. Or Lindsey or Charles, correct? And so I'm just thankful for that. And also, where is Lorraine and Hammond? Come down, come on down, y'all, come on down. We had a tremendous time in Milwaukee yesterday and the day before. And I had a session. I'm tired right now, actually. I'm like wiped. I had a session from 9 a.m. We had sessions from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. and 8:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. Non-stop, on my feet, on her feet. And that's when we confirmed the lupus is gone, because I could not imagine. Come tell us about your experience for just one moment.
Wow. I'm still speechless. I am, because there was so much that happened in just 48 hours. There were so many miracles that took place. And to just be a part of that was amazing. Know that God can use you if you just step outside of your comfort zone. And so I decided to step outside my comfort zone and make myself available. I don't think I've ever been on my feet from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. And they were still pulling on us, just pulling on us, just wanting to know, just asking questions. The love of the Lord.
And the shekel.
Which girl? Oh, okay. So there's a young girl. She, 18, 19, something like that. She flew from Thailand. Her parents, she flew from Thailand. She was diagnosed with lupus. She flew from Thailand. She'd been in the hospital for exactly 2 months on the night of Friday. And they checked her out of the hospital to bring her to the church. So for 2 months, she's been being pumped with medicines and trying to control this lupus. And for doctors and being in the hospital lupus, there's nothing really that they can do, right? But this girl was also being tormented by some demons. It was truly, truly demonic. And so when she got there, Pastor Charles was ministering. I was sitting like right across from her, and I could see the spirit tormenting her because her whole body was moving, and she was talking to herself, and she was saying, I want to go home. I want to go home. I'm tired. My body hurts. I want to go home. I want to go home. And somebody walked over there to me like, she really needs some. I said, no, she'll be okay. She'll be okay. Pastor Charles kept preaching, she'll be okay. So I think they wanted to help her so bad that they took her upstairs. They took her upstairs and they came back and they got me again. Like, she needs some prayer, you know. And so we went upstairs, prayed for her, right? I prayed for her, spoke to the demon, called it out, spirit of Leviathan, telling her lies. Because this thing was telling her lies, that she was confessing these lies, like some serious accusation kind of lies going on in her. And so came on back downstairs, and then Pastor Charles, we ministered for people, and Pastor Charles saved her for last. And so when he brought her up, she sat down in the chair. I could already see that she was healed of lupus. It was this thing that was tormenting her. So when Pastor Charles prayed for her, we kept praying for her. He kept telling her that it was the spirit of lies. And I was like, that's it right there. That just called it out upstairs. And so this girl got healed. Healed, right? She got healed, and her countenance, her whole countenance just changed. She became radiant. She wanted to sing Amazing Grace. Now, whoever wrote that song, Lord, that is the longest song. And she sang the entire song. Like most songs have a chorus, a verse, then a chorus, a verse, then a chorus. This is verse, 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 verse. And by the time she got to the last verse, you could see the strength in her body. She was talking clear. She was hungry. She wanted to eat. She had lost 20 pounds. She was so little. She was 88 pounds. She was so little. But God is continuing to work in her life because her name is Faith. Her healing is a process, and she's walking it out.
Thank you. God bless you. Oh, my God. And many, many more. You're going to hear them. You're going to see them. Amen. Thank you.
Yeah, so this morning, that was awesome, guys. Celebrating diversity. It's awesome. All the gifts, there's so many different gifts. What we're going to be talking about today is actually about covenant. And I say that word, and some of you are kind of like, why? Why do we have to talk about that? It's actually a very awesome word, but it brings a lot of pain to people sometimes. And I think sometimes we just have an understanding of what covenant actually means and what it looks like. And I know I have, because even when he would talk about it, I was like, really? What is this? Covenant? Like, what does that even mean? Like, I would listen to it, I would hear it, but then not fully understand. I would actually get offended by the word because, I don't know, everything in me got agitated, I guess. And so the word covenant is important, and we're going to be discussing what that is. And sometimes, for me, I go of covenant as a marriage relationship, but it's so much more than that. And it should be our relationship with God is based on covenant, and our relationship with one another should be based on covenant. And so we're going to just talk about what that means. If you're already offended or already feeling, I don't really like that where this is going, really ask the Lord to help you because it's important. And so much freedom that's found in doing things God's way. He is the author of covenant.
Correct. And to be precise, even with what we were talking from last week, betrayal in relationship, the safest relationships you can have are those that are built on covenant. And we are a covenant people who develop relationships of covenant. In fact, marriage is the best example of that because there's no other relationship where the government makes you swear, and then the church, you stand in front and you swear, and then you go to the father-in-law and swear. Correct? Those of you who have followed those protocols, and if you're from cultures, you bring a bride price, dowry, and you swear because the relationship you're getting into, there is a day you'll feel like walking away from it. And you'll be reminded of the vows you made. And so what I would say about covenant is it is the best way to build a healthy, long-lasting relationship. And I actually believe that when our relationship is built on covenant, it sets you free to grow it to different depths. For example, because we are in covenant, we can talk about anything and we can go into being vulnerable, even dealing with the mess of a relationship. And so we can fight in, and I know the relationship is safe. We can offend each other, we can iron sharpen iron each other where sparks are flying, and I still know that the relationship is safe. Because for the relationship to really go where it needs to go, we must be able to explore different levels. If you are in this church, and I don't want to have you lift your hand because I'm the one who is going to raise my hand. I felt leaving this church so many times. And some of you are like, Charles, that can be true. I have. I felt like it. I felt like leaving my wife so many times. Can I just be honest a bit? I have felt like doing it. What keeps me from doing it, what keeps me from making it happen, is because I remember covenant and I remember why I am in the relationship. And so I have not been able to leave, because by staying, I grow. Tell your neighbor, don't run away from your own development.
Yeah, for us, and there was a time that I left twice actually, with the intention of divorcing. I left the marriage twice, and I remember one time I went to my parents' house, and my mom told me, "What are you doing here? Go home." And you know, you want sympathy in those moments to be like, "Don't you hear what I'm saying?" And she did. She listened, but then she said, just go home. This isn't where you're supposed to be." Like being able to talk to other people that understand covenant, because you don't always feel like following through. You know covenant, you know that you're in it for the long haul, and you know it's going to be messy and it's going to be, but sometimes when it gets really bad, you feel like leaving, and you want to find somebody that doesn't understand covenant to sympathize with you and feel what you're feeling. But the best people to talk to in those moments are those that understand covenant. For somebody that says, "Hey, you're not supposed to divorce, go back. Know that this is hard, but you're going to be a better person for this in the end. Stay together. Make it work." And even when it's marriage, when it's God, it's the same thing. We don't always get what we want from God right away. I loved what Chuchi was talking about this morning, actually, because it's like we don't always get what we want from him right away. And sometimes we're like, well, God isn't healing me, therefore I'm done. And we want to walk away from the covenant relationship. He already made a covenant with us, and now as we got saved, we made a covenant with him saying we're in this till the end. But then things get hard. And we're like, I don't know if this God is really who he says he is. And I've had my moments of questioning him and being like, well, I doubt everything in this moment. I doubt everything that God says he was. And everything I heard that he was. I couldn't be satisfied with it, and so you just want it to be done. And then you're like, oh, I know it can be done. And then God proves himself at the end. But it's like, it's a covenant relationship. You can't just walk away from God. Marriage, you can't just walk away so easily from marriage. If somebody does divorce, it's not an easy thing. Those understand covenant, divorce is very, very hard. And sometimes the aftermath of it is even more painful than the initial divorce itself. And so we're talking about that on a lot of different levels, but also now, how does that even pertain to the church? How does it pertain to relationships? Because it's still based on covenant. God never said, only for marriage and only with your relationship with me, that's the only place where covenant exists. No. Because he wants us to grow, he wants us to develop, he wants us to be challenged, he wants us to be in these messy covenant relationships, and they can't happen just two weak people that are like, oh, we're just gonna sort of in this. And that's sometimes we find in marriage, it's so convenient, I guess, prior to marriage for people to just be committed and living together. But they're not really committed. They're like, I'm just going to live with you. Because when things get hard, they can just walk away. When hard times come or when somebody does something not supposed to do, they can just walk away. But covenant says, in it for the long haul. Like, we're actually in it to the end. And we know it's going to be messy. I think we can say, I know it's going to be messy.
I know it's going to be messy.
Like, it's going to be messy, and that's why it takes two mature people that understand it and are going to stand it till the end.
And God built all the best relationships by covenant. Like, his relationship with Abraham was the Abrahamic covenant. I will bless you. I will make your name great. I'll bless those who bless you. I'll curse those who curse you. Through you, all the names of the world will be blessed. And you can see God commits that. And then Abraham, Sarah doubt for 25 years whether God will even perform his word. And they end up having a baby with the maid, and Ishmael is born. And what we find is God still was committed to the covenant even when Abraham failed. So God is a covenant-keeping God. And he builds the best relationship, the covenant. The covenant with Noah, symbolized by the rainbow. Covenant with Moses. Also, the covenant with Adam, that God turned over the world to Adam. He said, take the world, be fruitful, multiply, have dominion. He gave over the whole world to Adam through a covenant. And what I find is our salvation is a covenant sealed by the blood of Jesus Christ. And it is guaranteed that it cannot be revoked until death. And that is how we build marriage. Marriage is built around the blood covenant, Jesus being in the middle. And so what I have found, people find it a little difficult to put the same emphasis on ministry relationships. And ministry relationships are supposed to be built covenant again. And they are supposed to be people coming together and God in the middle, divinely connecting them so that they can do it on purpose. It is not easy to come together and to have powerful people working together. It's easy. It's not very easy to have powerful people working together, but covenant means I will not betray this relationship. And let me read this statement. It says, covenant relationships take time, commitment, and godly character. They don't just happen. True covenant relationships begin with a specific decision and continue as certain principles of integrity are respected and continually acted. God is adamant about covenant relationship where people knit together through friendship and relationship, where the relationship begins and grows by making and keeping covenant. Also, the relationship begins with a heart that's so generous and open to give itself to someone else. And this is where now it gets messy. Some people here, what I noticed through my ministry experiences of 27 years, I have noticed when the relationship begins to go deeper and you rebuke, correct somebody, some of those people, when they hear correction, they run away. And it becomes so hard to go deep into relationships unless we understand covenant, so that when moment comes when you correct someone, or you even make a mistake, like I can make a mistake and do something wrong, or not meet expectations of people. Those are the moments when we test the power of our covenant relationship. Can we talk about difficult situations about our lives that are uncomfortable?
Right. And the major thing that winds up hitting covenant is fear. It's fear of being known. It's fear of, maybe you're not walking right with God, and it's fear of if somebody's close, they're going to find out that I have problems, or that I go clubbing once in a while, or I drink, or, we get scared of people finding out our mess and our struggles. And so there's this fear that keeps us from covenant. It's a fear of not wanting to let somebody down and make mistakes, and but it's fear. That's really what it comes down to. And so in order to enter into covenant, we have to say no to fear. I think we sing songs like a lot where, I'm no longer slave to fear. Like, that's a real thing. It's not just like, oh, I'm no longer a slave. No, it's like, I'm no longer a slave. Like, I don't have to be afraid anymore. I don't have to be afraid of my husband, and he doesn't have to be afraid of me, and I'm not afraid of what the devil's going to do. Like Jemima, I'm not afraid of nobody, It's like literally getting fear out of your life completely. It's okay that we're struggling. It's okay that you're struggling. It's okay that we fall. And I know that some of this is really new, because even for us, some of it's really new. It's like God has been doing work in our own hearts for like some years, but sometimes you don't have the language to communicate or the ways of implementing things. And so it might sound new the way we're talking, but it's really refreshing to me personally, because there's been something missing and not quite right. I'm not afraid to admit that to you guys, because we're all learning and growing together. And I feel like as far as covenant is concerned, it's like we just have to get rid of that fear. And I've been a fearful person for a long time. And I just read, so I won't even ask for permission. So we went to Bethel, and while we were at Bethel, I went to the conference, the worship conference.
What are we going to talk about?
I know, right? It's just me being myself. Sorry.
I brought my pills, so.
Don't have a heart attack. No, while we were there, it was 2 weeks long, and it was really, like some of you have been asking, how was vacation? It really wasn't a vacation, because I was actually at the conference Monday through Friday, like from 9 o'clock in the morning, 9 o'clock in the morning, till about, I was getting home at like 6:30. One night was even later than that. So like it was really intensive, and I pretty much cried the whole first week that I was there. But like my heart and going was like, God, I don't want to be the same person. Like I don't want to be the same person anymore. And like I've been healed of so many things, and there's a lot God has been doing in me over the years. But like I went for the first time because I haven't been a way to just receive like that, and I with the intent of like being a different person. I want God to make me a new person. And it's like really scary at times to venture out like that and be like, whatever you want to do, Lord, just change me and rock my world, like mess up my mindset and the way I think, like do that because something is just not right. I need you to do that for me. And I didn't know that it was actually happening. I mean, I could feel some things, but I didn't actually know how much of it was happening until we had a little blow up between the two of us. And so we have blow ups sometimes, guys. That was one of them.
They are called intensive moments of fellowship.
Of fellowship, yeah. And and we had one of those moments being in California. This was just a few weeks ago, and being there, and I'm like, oh, God is doing so many amazing things, guys. Listen to this, and la 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 la. And then we fight, right? We have an argument, and it goes really, really bad. And I'm like, maybe God isn't really doing the things that I thought He was doing. Like maybe He's really not changing me, because why am I getting so angry? Why am I reacting in the same old way I was? Because I knew, it's not okay, but like, why am I still like that? And so I had to go back to the prayer of like, God, make me new. Like you said you would make me new. That's my prayer. That's my cry. So make me a new person. And so He was doing that. But then I had a dream that night. That I fought spirits from the time that I was a child, from the time I was little, and they've been with me all through my life. And they had multiplied and grown to something that was almost unmanageable. And in the dream, the guy kept screaming at me, I'm going to take your voice. Like this was Spirit speaking, I'm going to take your voice. And he wanted to kill me. But in the process of all of that, I was able to defeat him. And I woke up feeling so victorious. I woke up because I was feeling really bad and sick and things, and I woke up at like 10 o'clock at night after sleeping for like 4 hours and had those dreams. Woke up feeling very victorious. And I didn't think that was possible because we just argued in the morning, and there was problems that weren't resolved. So I was like, how can I feel victorious when that's really going on? But I did. And at first I wanted to feel bad, like, oh my gosh, I feel victorious. But we like just had a really bad argument. Like, should I be feeling okay right now? Should I be feeling happy? But I was. And then the next morning, somebody in worship came to me, and they were like, I just saw this dream in worship that there's a sign of victory over your head. And I was like, that is so crazy they say that, because that's what I felt. I had these dreams where I defeated these spirits. Like, I was so excited. And I legitimately feel like a different person coming home to talk to you guys. You know that this is not my thing to speak to you, but like really feel like God has solidified a lot of the things that He's done. And like getting rid of fear is such a real thing. I didn't want to be afraid. I don't want to be afraid of confrontation. I don't want to be afraid of anything that happens. I even want to be afraid of betrayal. I don't want to be afraid of the devil and the things that he could do, because he can sure raise his ugly head and do some serious damage. But I don't want to be afraid of that. And like in singing those songs, like there's so real. And this is not in our notes. I'm so sorry. It's so not in our notes. But like in order to step into covenant, like we have to overcome fear. And that doesn't just happen, is what I'm trying to say. It doesn't just happen. You don't just all of a sudden, like, I'm not afraid anymore. It takes like the covenant with God and stepping out into that relationship with boldness, and then Him coming and changing and challenging you. He challenged my thinking in such a deep way, but He had to in order for me to become victorious. Like, it's only through the covenant relationship we're going to experience that. But it's not just our relationship with God. It's not just in marriage. It's a relationship. It's in friendship. It's knowing each other and be willing to go through the mess and like coming out like pure gold. But we become so afraid of stepping out and so afraid of relating for many, 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 many different reasons. But fear is at the core. And like, if fear gets out, if we get that out of our lives, we can do exactly what we're talking about. It becomes so much easier.
And I think sharing about the story of our fellowship, how our fellowship went.
Intensive moments, yeah.
I think what comes out of that is we talked about it after maybe a couple of days. We talked about it. And I realized there was a fear that's between us of going some places in our relationship. And where you try to get to that place, it's like you find there's a wall. Nobody wants you to get there. And behind that wall is, I don't want you to see some mess that I have. I don't want to see some of my weaknesses or even my insecurity. And to have authentic relationship, we have to be able to go behind that wall and love those weaknesses and love the person through those weaknesses and love the person through those insecurities. For example, there are people who don't like to listen to themselves on a tape, or they don't even like to watch themselves in a video, because it will make them confront something that they don't like to see. There are some people who probably don't even like to look at their face or their smile. And a day has come for you to have even an authentic relationship with yourself, with your body image, and just be comfortable to see those areas of insecurity that you carry. And all of us have things, and you need to look at them and just love yourself through those things. Can I just be honest? So start from there on a personal level, knowing how to love yourself through all your mess and all the insecurities you have. Then being able to overflow with that love and love your neighbor like yourself, we can have authentic relationships. Sometimes you may marry someone and find out have something. For example,
almost always
snoring. You know, I would never know that I snore because I'm single. I was single when I met my wife. Nobody hears themselves snore. And sometimes we get ourselves off the hook. But I'm honest, I don't snore unless I'm sick.
You know, he snores a lot, guys. He really,
I do?
Yeah. He didn't know that until me.
You need to videotape me so
Yeah, I will.
So I can know.
I think I do snore because when I have one time and I felt like I was dying, I started choking like. So I don't think I can snore. I think I would probably die in my sleep.
But to be open and honest for your wife to tell you you snore, you snore, and
he would defend himself and say, "I know I don't."
I know I don't. Actually, I don't.
Right.
I need evidence. But we got to become authentic. You remember when we were kids? I love the relationship between Mima and Scott's little girl, Hannah. And their relationship is so beautiful because they are little girls, both of them 4 years old. And this is how it goes. Hannah is my best friend. I don't like Hannah anymore. She drives me crazy. And then the next Sunday is Dad. We had Saturday morning and a Saturday night. And my daughter was wearing a very nice dress on Saturday morning. And in the afternoon, she insisted I have to change the dress. I said to her, no, you're not changing the dress. You're giving me too much work. You're going with the same dress. And I pushed her so hard to not change the dress. And then she said to me, Dad, Hannah will have another dress tonight. And I'm not going there with the old dress. Hannah will have a new dress.
It's so serious.
And so I began to realize how their friendship affects her choices. And
Yeah.
sometimes we are like that, where if someone does something, you say, you're not my friend anymore. And then 20 minutes later, you're best friends again. And then do something, you're not my friend anymore. And you have no idea how adults do that all the time. The relationships are not built on covenant. They are not mature. And they cannot go to places where they can really glide on each other and build something beautiful.
It's true. And so part of covenant is being able to define what a relationship actually is, what it looks like, and knowing how those people fit into your life. Like it's not optional for us. We have covenant no matter what. Okay, so that's not optional. Our relationship with God is not optional. We have covenant with Him. But in other relationships, we have to figure out who people are to us. And it's not like, I don't like you, so get out of my life. It might be, I don't like you, I actually really need you in my life. You know, there's people that we don't always see eye to eye with or get along with, but we're actually supposed to enter into covenant. And
let's talk about that.
Yeah.
How to define our relationships.
Yeah.
I was in a meeting somewhere a few days ago, and someone was asking me to do something, actually yesterday afternoon, and there's a group that came to me. They wanted something from me and said, I'm very willing to do it. I just need to know, who am I to you? And I said this to them. I said, if you want me to date you, I will date you. I'll just go out on date with you. I was talking to this group of ministers. I was telling them, if you want me to just go out on dates with you, just be like a date, I'll do that. If you want marriage, I'm going to go into marriage. If you want me to be a cousin, I'll be a cousin. If you want me to be, Uncle Joe? Do you have Uncle Joe or Bill or Sam or Charlie, that Uncle Chuck who comes drunk for family gatherings and it's just the life of the party, but he's drunk. And he's just playful. He's a 5-year-old in a 20-year-old body. And I told them, if you want me to be Uncle Joe, I'll be Uncle Joe to you. And come just play with you, phone you, and then go. If you want me to be grandpa, I'll spoil you. And when you get dirty, I'll put you back to your mom. If you want me to be a father, I'll be a father to you. And I shared all these things with you. Do you want to be a daughter or a son or a cousin? Whatever you want to be, that's what will make this relationship become. That way, if it's a father, it draws what a father gives to children. If it is an uncle, drunk uncle, it draws of what a drunk uncle gives. And again, there is no expectations that will be frustrated because the definition is set. It is set expectations. Now let's go deeper now to IOC. I want to have strong leaders, but the definition will change. Because I cannot have strong leaders without strong relationship. And so to mean it will be a freedom to be vulnerable and also to ask hard questions both ways. To be honest, to be vulnerable, to ask hard questions. Some of the people who even work with me on staff level, they have to be able to respond to me within 24 to 48 hours. In terms of texting, messaging, everything. They cannot fail to pick their phones for 2 days. Are we together right now? So again, the deeper the places we want to go, the more the definition needs to be refined. I don't know what you're thinking, but that's what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, the deeper the relationship goes, the more is required of both parties. And again, it's each individual making a choice and decide, what is this? Is this something that I want, and am I willing to go there? You know, things it has to be defined, and not just us to you guys, but like even you guys to each other. You have to define what those relationships look like. I'm not going to speak on a personal level. I'm not going to speak to everybody the same way. And that's because I don't have permission to speak into some people's lives the way I do into others. And so, like, I'm just not. And some people are like, well, why don't you talk to the way that you... Well, the relationship is different. So it's going to be different. And no one should take offense to that, because you do the same thing. You have different people, their lives in different levels. And so the amount that you're able to...
It's powerful, yeah.
The amount that you're able to talk and the places that you're able to go are going to depend on the level of the relationship. Yeah, it really has to...
Let's talk about that permission part.
Yeah.
Because...
I want to say something about what you just said, too. Yeah, go ahead.
Say to him first.
Oh, I was going to say, the word intimacy can be really scary. And it's not just restricted to marriage. David and Jonathan, or any of these other people that he mentioned, they had an intimate relationship. It's not, we think of intimacy sometimes as a sexual thing, and it's not. Intimacy is really knowing each other. It's being able to authentic.
To me, you see.
Yeah, authentic in a way that you're fully known by another person. And it doesn't mean that it has to be a sexually intimate relationship. That's just the way that I think sometimes. But it's intimacy and really knowing one another. So, yeah, go ahead.
I want to talk about permission, because when I meet people, sometimes I ask them, give me permission. I just ask. And
some of you have had those awkward conversations with us, so.
And it helps to get you into an awkward conversation.
Yeah.
Which is very important. And I have permission to ask people, do you smoke? Do you drink? I want to know you, man. I just want to know you. Because I even have permission to ask people, do you have problem with pornography? Do you have trouble with masturbation? I mean, we need to ask those questions at some level. That's not a question to ask someone who is a new member, for you to be out of the church.
You just met them for the first time.
Do this. But if someone is going to be pastoring the church with you, you better ask them some questions. If someone is going to be your wife or your husband, ask them the question. Some of you are dating people and ask you, are they born again? I don't know. It's like me when I met my wife. I told a friend of mine, I met a girl, I like her, I'm married. What's her name? I don't know. I mean, it's like you go way too far and you don't know the person, because you've not been able to ask those uncomfortable questions. And that permission, when I do coaching, because I coach a few people, when I do coaching, I ask some questions that are really hard for me to get permission. And that permission helps us to go to some places. Some people I have told, I am not able to do this with you because I cannot lie to you and myself that we are to accomplish these goals if not being able to bring our relationship to this level. So I'm probably not going to be a good fit for you. You can look for someone else. And what I have seen with the people that we have worked together in, like the coaching that I do, online coaching that I do with some of the people I work for, I serve in that way, I have realized they are going places because we are able to talk about those things. For example, a hard question would be, where do you see yourself in the next 12 months in our relationship? Someone says, I don't see any. I don't see it. That tells you there is no future together.
You can only go far.
You can only go so far. So if someone is asking you to go to the future with them and they cannot see that happening, again, that's a question that's to be answered. Even question of how are you doing?
Not getting, I'm great. Praise the Lord.
You know what I don't want to hear?
All the time.
Blessed, highly favored, thank God. I don't want to hear that.
Keep that for Sunday mornings.
Keep it Sunday morning. But when we are talking, I want to hear how you're doing. How are you truly doing? Exactly. And you know, we sweep so much under the carpet and we don't quite get going in authentic relationship. But this is what we love. This is what we want to work for. This is what we want to, this is why I don't have another job. This is why we are here. This is why we have laid our lives down. So we want this to be real. We want it to be covenant. And we want you to know, I am all in. I don't know about you.
Yeah. Well, I am all in. Yeah, I am. In case you're asking me that, I'm all in.
And what we want to know is we are all into this.
Yeah.
And I know different levels of how people can go, but we want to provide you with an opportunity to go all in as far as you want. And that's what covenant relationship is.
Yeah, it's really, it really is that. Because we're here and we're all in. And I know some of you have said the same thing. And it's not just us and you. It's, again, you guys and each other too. So what are these relationships look like to you? How vulnerable are you willing to be? How far are you willing to go? I don't have much of, like, even though reputation is like really important to me, that's why I don't do certain things and have never, because my reputation is really important. Like, I haven't sworn like almost 20 years, like never under any circumstances, never sworn. And like, that might seem crazy to some people, but like, it's a personal thing. Like, I told God I wasn't to do that at some point, and I said, that's it. And so it doesn't matter how much we argue or fight, like that's just a no-go zone. We don't ever use that language on each other. And why was I saying that? Sorry, guys.
I think it is a quality decision.
It's like it's a decision that there was somewhere I was going with that. But anyways, it's a decision that I had to make in order to get to some places and to even continue to create a safe place. That's not what I was going to say, but it's so true. Wow. Anyways, in relating
moment,
to
right there,
yeah, wow.
We all get it.
Hope for me not for a few more years, but anyways, but in building authentic relationships, in building that, you want to be able to be vulnerable, and you want to know that there's some places that you're not going to go. Like, we know that we're not going to be swearing and using bad language. We know we're not going to be name-calling one another. There might be a lot of other things said, but those are two places that we're never going to go. And so in defining relationships and, like, knowing how far you go with a certain person, what's acceptable and what's not, sometimes you have to have those really awkward conversations and just say, this is what I would like our relationship to look like. And you say the same thing. What do you want your relationship to look like? And it's not that it's going to be perfect and everything's going to be great and grand all the time, but because of covenant, you've been able to remove fear. I know that no matter what happens, neither one of us is going anywhere. And that doesn't give license for a relationship to become abusive, because sometimes you have a really submissive person and a really dominant person, and the dominant person is always controlling the weaker person and making things to be something that they shouldn't. That's not what covenant relationship looks like. Covenant relationship is two strong, powerful people come together and say, I choose to relate no matter what. And until the end, we're in it. It's two powerful people.
I want to address this before we leave, because people may be asking, now, are you saying, for example, for church, I can never, ever leave?
Yeah.
The answer to that is, no, you can leave. You can leave. But this is how it was. Not in an awkward way, not in a way where people are asking, where are you? Where did you go? What happened? There's a wrong way of living, there's a right way of living. The right way of living is where you live with honor. You live in good terms. You live in covenant. Like, if I ever leave this church, everyone will know. It will not have an abruptly, and you will know about me, even when I'm out there, will still be connected. I'll be able to come back any minute and still feel like I'm back in the family. There will not be this awkward thing that I leave and you never ever see me again. It creates an awkward feeling that there were people that you left out good terms. And we need to be believers who have a history and a track record of keeping relationships. Because broken relationship, a tree of broken relationships where you cannot talk or see each other or fellowship again, a tree of that kind of relationships invalidates your testimony of Jesus. It makes Jesus in you to be dishonored by people because it tells us you don't forgive, you keep grudges, you don't reconcile. And it is very important in covenant relationships, whether you are together or not, the love for each other is not affected. This is how Ruth put it in the book of Ruth, chapter 1, 16 to 17. I'm going to allow this. Don't urge me to leave you or to turn back from you. Where you go, I will go. Where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people. Your God will be my God. Where you die, I will die. And there I will be buried. May the Lord deal with me, be it ever so severely, if even death separates you and me. Naomi and Ruth understood covenant. They birthed a relationship of covenant. The next thing you know, David was born out of the loins of Ruth. And David ended up being the lineage through which Jesus came. God saying to us this morning, I will build something powerful and something that will have purpose, destiny, only if it is built on covenant relationships. I'm welcoming you to covenant connection and a depth of intimacy of relationship that will help us to build something beautiful, Jesus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember also what I was going to say a few minutes ago, so just with that. I was saying reputation has been something that's really important to me, and because of that, it's one of the things that helps me to stay on track. And sometimes even coming out of fear, it's like I care so much about my reputation that I have to do the right thing or else. And coming from it from that way, and even though reputation is important, I've settled in my heart that like it's not everything, and like it's okay to just be free and be yourself. That's what I was trying to say. It's okay and like venture out in that. Like I don't really want to have reputation to uphold. I don't like one of the things is like being superwoman. I don't want that to be my title. I don't want that to be what I am. However, see me, that's great. But like that's not something that I want to be because I'm not invincible and I'm not unstoppable.
You are my superwoman all the time.
Yeah, well, you know, things. You know, but like sometimes having such reputations to uphold, it makes you not be able to fail and makes you not be able to make mistakes. And it doesn't only change the way others view you, but it's just the way you view yourself. Like when I know that I'm not perfect, but yet people always constantly put the thing of you're perfect, you know, or perfection on you, it hurts sometimes because you know that you're not. Does that make sense?
Correct, correct.
And like it makes it seem like that you can't be vulnerable or like that you can't mess. And so we don't help each other by holding people to such a standard. And I'm not saying don't hold people to a standard. I'm just saying that give some grace and let there be some room for things to happen. Does that make sense? It's something that we all want, and sometimes with leaders we don't give that, but I guess I would ask for that from you guys. Yeah.
It's granted.
We love you guys so very much, every one of you. Yeah.
Well, what we're gonna do something very prophetic together. But I'm gonna ask us to stand together. And what I'm gonna ask you to do is look at someone next to you and hold their hand like this. and tell them we are better together
We're better together
apart.
than apart. Look the other way and say the same thing to the other person. Say the same to the person on the other side, because they're probably not a spouse or a best friend.
We are better together than apart. And a time has come, and you know, one is such a small number to do something significant. We cannot do this alone. God made it to be done through community and through unity. And so what we do is take the risk and let's get in covenant. There's a video that I want Brenda to play. And I just wanted to kind of speak to us. Blender, just get that video. We got it queued, and then pray after that video.
Thank you so much, Dr. Charles Karuku here. You've joined us for a very powerful message that has just gone. And I know that God is going to meet you at the very point of your need. Now listen, what I want you to do is to go on our website right this moment, and you can give towards this ministry to help us continue bringing this good news of the message of Jesus Christ to your home and to bless so many people. If this message has ministered to you, you can go ahead and join us by giving an offering at experiencioc.com. That's our website. There's online giving that you can use. It is safe and secure. And we will be very, very thankful that you are teaming up with us to help us continue to transform, heal, and equip people to be everything God wants them to be. And by the way, make sure next time to join us live or in person right here in Burnsville, Minnesota. God bless you.